Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Awards Buzz. I'm Abe Friedtanzer,
I'm Stacey Yvonne.
I'm Sari Cohen.
and we are talking about the Golden Globes, making some predictions for who will win in the TV categories. We have some expected winners without much competition and a few races that could be more interesting. We'll start off with a brand new category, TV stand-up comedy performance. Sarah, do you have some thoughts on this one?
I do. I have to tell you, Chris and I were at the Hollywood Improv a couple weeks ago, and we got a little taste of what Nikki Glazer's monologue or set or whatever you want to call it, hosting ability, some of her jokes that she will be presenting at the Golden Globes. And let me tell you, it's phenomenal. She is going to absolutely kill it. I mean, like, she's like roast queen now. Like that's totally her thing. And she definitely is in the same vein as Ricky Gervais. But man, you're in for a treat. You are in for a treat. Everybody is going to be talking about her hosting abilities after this, and how just freaking amazing she is. So it's good stuff. It's good stuff.
I had
Nice.
to
Did you
look up
think that
real
she is
quick. Yeah, I
please?
had to look up real quick because I always get her and then Taylor Tomlinson mixed up. And I'm like, wait a minute, which one is Nikki? Um, I'm fine. I mean, I don't know in terms of like who will take this category because I'm unfortunately just not familiar with a lot of these.
So I think her it would kind of be strange to have her not win as host. Like there she'll definitely make a joke about that. I'll tell you that. But Ali Wong is a very strong contender here too. I think she's probably Nikki's biggest competition. So it will be interesting to see which direction it goes. I have a feeling it might go to Ali, but I would I would like to see Nikki win. She's phenomenal, you guys. Just wait. Just wait. It's gonna blow you away.
I have Ali in second also. I think Beef, is just so recent that I think it'll be nice, especially to see in a more sort of focused performance here, stand-up stuff. I also will always remember people, used to get woken up for 5 a.m., waking up, announcing the Emmy nominations. And sometimes they'd be like, oh, you got nominated. It's great. And sometimes they'd be like, oh, you didn't get nominated, but we still got you up to announce the things. And so it's interesting how sometimes they do want to celebrate the same person. And sometimes it's like, oh, we're not going to give you an award, but here's a way we're going to honor you. So we'll see what happens there. Moving over to our regularly established categories. For TV drama actor, I think we have a very serious frontrunner in Hiroyuki Sanada for Shogun, who won the Emmy. I think obviously going against him is that it's a foreign language uh, series, and I would hope by this point people have gotten past that. I do think that Billy Bob Thornton is a recent Golden Globe winner for Goliath, so it's possible that Landman could do okay. That said, the other shows, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Slow Horses, and The Day of the Jackal, the stars are all nominated and the shows are nominated. And so I think I'd like to assume that even though we've had past winners like Rachel Bloom for Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, whose show was not nominated, having your series there and more representation definitely helps. So I think Hiroyuki Sanada, and I think maybe Eddie Redmayne if anyone else was going to win.
I think that Eddie could be an upset in here. I think that this everyone is kind of predicting this to be the year of Shogun, and I think that that's a good prediction. I can see them kind of sweeping a lot of these categories, but if someone was going to kind of jump in there and upset, it would probably be Eddie Redmayne.
Yeah, I think it might be Billy Bob. I mean, I think my opinion is that I think Shogun's going to take it for both these categories. I think it's going to be Hiroyuki and Anna.
Mhm.
But Billy Bob is getting a lot of love for Landman, so I wouldn't be surprised if he was the unexpected winner. Or I mean, it could Gary Oldman also, I think, has a very real shot in this. But those are my top three. I still think, yeah, Hiroyuki, I think is the shoe in.
Landman is part of the Yellowstone universe. Yeah, is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
so good.
Yeah. It's such a juggernaut, and people who love it. And it is quality, but there's in the battle between Yellowstone and Big Sky, I was a Big Sky person and no one else liked it. So I don't have a lot to say about that.
Acting is so superior in the show, and
Mhm.
Bob definitely shines. This role was actually created for him. Uh,
Really?
yeah, so
Okay.
they had been building it for quite a while. And I know that he did some writing in this as well. But I got to talk to him for it.
Mm.
He's he's really good. Yeah, he's really good. So I was glad to see him nominated in this category, especially with the show being so new. But yeah, like you said, Taylor Sheridan's universe, it's a juggernaut. Like
Mhm.
this could, I think we could see a show. This is the one shot that I feel like could be the Shogun upset.
Well, that brings us to TV drama actress, which I think we all think it's going to be Anna Sawai for Shogun, but who else could it be?
I'm
Sorry,
all
they're not the most friendly categories. There we go. Go ahead. Sorry, Siri.
No, I was gonna say I'm a big Diplomat fan, so I think like a sentimental would be Carrie Russell, but I do think Anna Sawai's got this.
I think it's either going to be Anna for again that kind of. I think it's either going to be all Shogun or like I don't know. Be a lot of difference, but if not, then I would say Kathy Bates.
Well,
Mm.
I think Kathy it's certainly possible. I also will note that it's not always all or nothing. I remember Mr. Robot for season one won Best Drama Series and Best Supporting Actor for Christian Slater. Christian Slater wasn't even nominated for Emmy, and that's when Rami Malek won there, not here. So I think very often, and we'll get to the comedy categories in a second when I'm sure we have theories about this, there is sort of like this. But there may be more chance for spread. That said, I think if you look back at Shogun, Anna Sawai is just such an incredible part of it. And while a lot of people probably know Hiroyuki Sanada for many years of different roles and stuff in both Japanese and American cinema, I think Anna Sawai, this is like, they're like, whoa, where did she come from? Even though obviously this is not her first role, but I think that might be a helpful thing for Golden Globe voters to celebrate something really international. Though I would be thrilled to see Keira Knightley win, since I think Black Doves is also one of the best shows of the year. Switching over to comedy actor, we have a lot of familiar faces and some past nominees and winners. But I think, as I think we've mentioned before, that Adam Brody from Nobody Wants This is probably the front runner. Do we all feel that that's right?
Yes.
I don't know. I feel like this category is going to depend on, gosh, who's voting, because I think that Adam Brody has more fans than he does critical acclaim just yet. I think that he's working back up, and I think that the people who love that series love it, but I don't know how many of them are in this voting body, and that's kind of all that they have to go off of. Um, I think Ted Danson is probably in there a little bit more than you'd think. Like I said, they're pushing that show like crazy. He's great in it, and he's been doing press all over the place for it. I could see him kind of making a last minute mark in people's minds. And then, of course, if they wanted to do a fun little upset, I would go with Jason Segel.
And Jeremy Allen White, he won like the past 2 years,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, I feel like he would be the front runner possibly, it's like, and then I always feel bad for Steve Martin and Martin Short in this category. Like every time they are pitted against each other, it's just one of those like, that's just gonna split the only murders. Yeah, we've got what Jason Segel and Ted Danson. But yeah, it's Jeremy Allen White, I would say would be the other competition. But I do see, and we were talking about this yesterday, Abe, I just see Nobody Wants This cleaning up this award season. And Adam Brody, I think, is gonna Adam Brody and like the ensemble as a whole, I think are going to be the ones to take home a good portion of the awards.
I hope so. The funny thing about Martin Short and Steve Martin is I wish if it were up to me, I would have had submitted Martin one year, submitted Steve the next year, or like do something where it breaks it up a little bit. Because yeah, they're going to consistently run into that issue regardless of how good they were in, whatever season.
Who do you pick when you're looking at two of them up for the same award? They're you're looking at their body of work or even their quality of work in that show, and it's like it's an impossible choice.
Well, I know that there was one year where Martin Short was nominated for an Emmy and Steve Martin wasn't, but it's also like when you're at that point in your career and you're so successful, getting, left off for one year, I don't think it's a big deal. But this year I always look at the fact that Man on the Inside and Shrinking are not up for Best Comedy Series. That's not a lot of support for the shows. And I feel like they need more of that to really be able to win. I also think The Bear is nominated for all four acting categories, and that's not something that's all that important, but it is worth considering. I still think Adam Brody is a very much Golden Globes kind of choice. Andy Samberg and Brooklyn Nine-Nine won Golden Globes for the first season of that show, which did not do well with Emmys, aside from Andre Braugher most years. So I think that if, to your point, Stacey, I don't know that it's the same kind of critical whatever, that leads to the Emmy stuff. I think this is still a different body that likes some entertainment, and Nobody Wants This, which I happen to think is very good, is also very good entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine we will have some discord about the comedy actress race, and I'm curious, Stacey, about hearing your thoughts first.
Oh, this was this is the heartburn category where it's also the time where I'm just like, I don't have a clue. I think Jean Smart I think it's kind of her time, and I think that they're going to finally give it to her. But if Kristen Bell could, depending on, again, if they kind of want to sweep and they want to, have those go together. I will say the only ones I don't see really charting in this will probably be Quinta, just because it's every year, or whenever. There's always something for Abbott Elementary. I am wondering, I don't think The Bear was, although they did get nominations in all four categories, it was such an uneven season that I don't know if it's going to outdo newer performances that we got. And I don't think that Selena is going to be a factor in this. So I don't know. I'm thinking Jane, but it's probably going to be between Jane and Kristen. And I'd love to see Kathryn Hahn. That's my upset.
I completely agree with you, Stacey. Like I think I actually think Io and Quinta are Jean's biggest competitors here. I don't think we're gonna see love for Selena. I don't think, as much as I so enjoy Kristen Bell and Nobody Wants This, I just don't think this is such a hard category. I just don't I don't see her taking this one. I would be really surprised. And to your point, like also, yeah, for the Bear, this season wasn't as strong as the others, whereas Hacks, like this is arguably their best season. So yeah, I think this one goes to Jean Smart. Not to leave out Kathryn Hahn for just being freaking incredible, but I agree. Jean Smart.
I always come back to the Globes love freshness. So our last three winners in this category, we had Io, and then before that we had Quinta, and before that we had Jean, which means that Jean did not win for the second season of Hacks, which I think is telling, because she did win an Emmy for season 2, she did win a SAG award for season 2, but the Golden Globes moved on to something else. And while sometimes they like to sort of capture the same enthusiasm, like the fact that Hacks won at the Emmys finally means it might finally win here, it's also already won at the Golden Globes, and so I think we might be past that. Rachel Brosnahan and Tina Fey each won twice in like the past 2 decades, but otherwise we always have new winners here. And so that leads me to Kristen Bell. I do think Kathryn Hahn is a strong upset possibility. I think Selena, there is no reason this would happen now versus another time. And similarly, Io won already, Quinta won already. Jean is still like should never be discounted. But I think this is Kristen Bell. I think she was nominated before for The Good Place. She was not nominated at the Emmys, but I think that it's a fun way to recognize her. And even though she's not a young new breakout, I think that this is something new for her, and that's exciting. And so I am going with Kristen Bell.
Wow. All right. She's great. I can't argue. I love her. I just, yeah, it's hard when you pit her up against, Jane.
Yeah,
Like,
I
yeah.
would probably go Catherine Hahn, Kristen Bell, because I think especially for it just for that voting body, I think that maybe there was a little more access to, the whole Agatha kind of the Marvel Disney show thing. But and overall I adore Catherine Hahn.
I'm gonna want to be upset. Even people who hate Agatha all along probably
Right.
wouldn't be upset by a Catherine Hahn win because I think people like
Mhm.
Catherine Hahn that much. That said, I'm sure there are plenty of people who hate that show and therefore would not be happy generally about the idea, even if they haven't actually seen it. Moving over to the limited I would say TV movie, but there's no TV movies nominated. Limited and anthology series categories. I'm gonna suggest something in Best Actor that will make Stacey happy, which is that I do not think Richard Gadd from Baby Reindeer is a shoe-in for Best Actor here. I think that Colin Farrell feels actually like a safer choice in a lot of ways. How do we feel about this?
I think 100%. Yeah, I think Colin Farrell. I think unfortunately, as I demonstrated in the last video, I thought this show came out 3 years ago. So I think it's just been enough time. And we've gotten so many great performances past then that just kind of inch it back further and further. Um, everybody's been talking about Colin Farrell's performance, and I think that that's going to be, if anything. Um, Andrew Scott could have like a cute little cheeky, this is the Irish boy summer or whatever we want to call it, Irish boy winter. They could, maybe do something for that. But I think, yeah, Colin. Oh,
Yeah.
he's Irish boy too. So there you go.
Yeah, I no, I totally agree. This also is a hard one. Like, I think Colin is so phenomenal in this. Like, he's just it's undeniable. But Baby Reindeer, like Richard Gadd, he's just heavily favorited. Also Kevin Kline, I love Kevin Kline. I He's a sentimental favorite for me because I just feel like
Yeah.
Kevin Kline is always good. He's like anything that he's in, I'm like, oh. Um, yeah, I see definitely Colin Farrell and Richard Gadd neck and neck. So I wouldn't be surprised either way.
I could see Baby Reindeer a little more if there had been more of an effort to market it. I feel like it happened kind of during TV season last, like what, March, April in that area. And then it just went quiet. There weren't any more kind of events or any more screenings or any more talkbacks, or there was some conversation about Nava, but then, again, that just kind of flew off. So I don't know. We'll see.
Well, in the actress category, we do not have Baby Reindeer. And while I'd love to say Kristen
Mhm.
Milioti has a great shot, I think that Jodie Foster might be a little more well known to voters than Richard Gadd. So I think her lead remains pretty strong in that category. What do you guys think?
Oh, for sure. I definitely see Jodie Foster winning this. Kate Blanchett, I feel like would be another strong contender, but I just think Jodie Foster is so iconic. I mean, we're talking about like international voters here with the Globes, and she's fantastic in this. She's been able to maintain through award season of just her general the love and appreciation for her. So yeah, I don't see any big surprises here.
For if Kristen were to get out, I think that a lot of people are kind of waiting for her, but I also feel like this is her nomination era. And then once she's really proven herself with something that is big, big, big again, then it will be her winning era.
Mm.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, After this, we go over to categories that combine everything, which seems weird on TV, even though in film we do it all the time. You know, it's odd that it's like a catch-all here. We have quite a list of actors for supporting actor with only one returning, that's Evan Backrash, who did not win last year, but he was nominated. I'm tempted to go with Harrison Ford because he wasn't even nominated
Mm.
for season one, but I think people are so into him on Shrinking, and even if Globe voters are not into Shrinking, Harrison Ford has had an incredible career, but not one with a lot of awards. He was only ever nominated once for an Oscar for Witness, and I feel like it is hard
Really?
to watch that show and be like, Harrison Ford. It's like Harrison Ford, this guy is doing great things. And while someone like Tadanobu Asano is great on Shogun, I feel like Harrison Ford has the edge here.
Totally
Yeah, I
agree.
think so too. Yeah. He's old school favorite. Great on screen. We love to see it. Given anything for 1923? Am I saying that right? So this is a time.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then we get to something interesting with supporting actress when we have like Dakota Fanning I thought was great. I know Stacey, you think she was better in The Perfect Couple, but I would say aside from her, the other five are all really strong contenders in a lot of ways. What do we think is happening here?
Mm.
This is a wild category. This category is complete because there's stuff all over the place. Callie Reese did a fantastic job in True Detective Night Country, and she works so well hand in hand with Jodie that I can see people kind of pair performances and being like, check, check. Hannah, we talked about that, Hannah Einbender, where I was she nominated before? Like I know she hasn't had a win in this
I
category,
don't
right?
She was not nominated last year. I think she
Mhm.
was nominated originally.
She's so
So
good.
yeah, she's
Yeah.
fantastic.
She was
And
nominated for
again,
season one only.
there we go. And I could see her people being like, okay, Jean and Hannah, check, check. Um, Dakota was very good in Ripley. I thought she did a great Marco, but again, that series had so many issues, but not with her. She did a fantastic job. I think if we do get like a crazy upset, it's going to be Allison Janney. It's going to be one of those. But I don't know. That's a tough one. But for me, it's between Callie and her.
Yeah, I think this is like this is the category. I read something somewhere where it was like the scene stealing category.
Yeah.
So it's like I think Hannah's definitely in the running. I think Alice and Janney would be a big surprise, but also not a surprise. Like think Jessica I think Jessica Gunning is the clear front runner, but
Mm,
certainly, again, Allison Janney's body of work. She's being praised for her role in The Diplomat. I know season three, her role's going to be bigger. Um, so
mm.
it would be interesting. Um, yeah, yeah. This is. I also like. I feel like Hacks is going to be. They are so strong in season three, and they've been able to maintain this incredible buzz. Where I feel like they just get more love and more. And even like you were saying, Abe, they were the different they've been snubbed in different categories each between Hannah and Jean. I feel like this could be the year that they both take home awards.
Yeah, I don't know. I was wrong before what I said. Hannah has been nominated each year along with Jean here. And so, but Hacks won for season one, not for season two. And so I'm going to continue going with the Glove mentality of if Hannah couldn't even win an Emmy after being there for a long time, and Emmys tend to reward things as they go, not necessarily at the very start. I think Jessica Gunning is far and away ahead here. I think also Liza,
Mm.
you ought to watch out for her because she won the Emmy. And so I think that's enough that there's not enough going against Jessica, especially because I would argue she's a lead in that show. And so that helps. When you talk about scene stealer, she's not a scene stealer. She is this, she is the scene in a lot of ways. And so that to me keeps her far enough ahead.
The one also Jennifer Coolidge win for White Lotus in this one. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I feel like it's kind of those roles that are like that's what I mean by scene stealer, like just
Hmm. They're the role, yeah.
they're the role, yeah. So I mean, true. I'll agree. Like Jessica Gunning is ahead, but it's an interesting race. Yeah.
Or to finish up our limited series conversation, Baby Reindeer, I think, is far enough out ahead. I think the Penguin is only competition. Do we think there's anything else that could win? And are either of you betting on the Penguin?
I think it's gonna be Baby Ranger or the Penguin. Yeah.
Stacey?
That sounds, yeah, it sounds right. One or the
To be,
other.
yeah. Well, before we get to, we'll end with TV series, musical, or comedy. But I think drama series, it feels like even if the actors go different, Shogun is still going to get this, right?
Yeah. I who else? Wait, hang on. Let's see who else. Let me pull up
I
my list.
have the Diplomat in second place only because I think it's becoming more popular. That said,
Right.
overall quality, if you're going to vote for the Diplomat over Shogun, I don't know how I feel. Like those are, one is good entertainment, but I feel like Shogun is such a like masterwork that I don't know.
Okay,
No offense to the Diplomat whatsoever.
but
I
also,
think
okay. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say my upset would be Mr. and Mrs. Smith, just to cause chaos. I can see it coming from behind, but yeah, otherwise Shogun.
I have it in
So,
dead last. Mr. Smith, 6 out of 6.
what do we think about Squid Game here, though?
Didn't even get
I
the actor any actors nominations. I don't think so.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
Yeah. I mean, it's good. I also am a Slow Horses fan. But I think it just doesn't, as much as it gets recognized, it doesn't get awarded as much. But yeah, I think Shogun clear front runner again.
you know what's interesting is people are just now starting to watch Day of the Jackal, like really get into it. Because at first I heard nothing about that series. And now all my like people that I know are like, oh, have you seen Day of the Jackal yet? Or have you seen Jackal on, and I'm just like, what? So it's very interesting how these nominations come out and then convince more people to watch, but it's like it's already decided, or whatever. So it's going to be interesting to see if there are any kind of last minute shifts in these.
Golden Globes definitely are very late breaking. For our
Mhm.
final category of TV series, comedy or musical, the past three winners have been The Bear, Abbott Elementary, and Hacks. And Only Murders has been nominated all 3 years and lost each of those shows. Who
The,
do
the
we, what do we think?
the thing about Only Murders that's so interesting to me is it is a quality show, and I don't know if it's just that it's such an oversaturated kind of field, but it just can never seem to stick the landing when it comes to the Globes. It's so interesting. But I think this is nobody wants this. I think if we're talking new, we're talking fresh, we're talking, getting in there. That is, if we were to have kind of a little surprise, I think Hacks could definitely kind of get in there because, again, we're talking about the idea of longevity. And so you have seasons and they just keep getting better and better and better. And I think that this is kind of the season to recognize that. So they could kind of slip it. I think it's between those two. When nobody wants this at the top.
Totally agree. Yeah.
I think if you're going for Nobody Wants This, Stacey, then I definitely will. I already was going to, but I think the fact that Hacks in its second season lost to Abbott Elementary rather than The Bear and beating Ted Lasso before that, I think like there's definitely like the new show replacing the old show mentality here. And so that's why I feel like Hacks, sure, would not be surprised one bit, especially because it's already, unlike at the Emmys, where it did surprise for season 3, it's already won here. I think this is Nobody Wants This as the fresh thing. Whether or not it'll ever be nominated again, I think season 1, it's it.
It's definitely between that and Hacks. I feel like this is such a strong season for Hacks. Those are like the two comedy contenders. They're just it will go either way between those two shows. But that's hard. That's a hard one between those two.
Well, we will be excited to see what happens. Thank you for joining us. I'm Abe Friedtanzer.
I'm Stacey Yvonne.
And Sari Cohen.